What's up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here, and today we're going to discuss some possible theories on who the Hanging Man is and what role he plays in the Little Nightmares universe. Depending on what theory you support the most, the Hanged Man, or Hanging Man, is either extremely relevant to the narrative or just a decorative piece to set the tone early in the main game. I like to think that, like most details in the game, they are intentionally implemented by design to hint towards the hidden secrets of the Maw. In order for us to bring life to this otherwise lifeless pair of legs, we'll have to open our minds for just a brief moment and adopt a perspective that will allow us to see the connections that would otherwise not be visible. Let's first examine the facts and see what we can pick apart from those details before we start venturing off in the land of speculation. It seems clear that the legs belong to a man. The man seems to be wearing a pair of slacks, a belt, and some dress shoes to go along with business casual attire that would in most instances belong to a male, quite typical in the 1930s and 40s. The only thing missing from the picture is a hat. Or is it? Interested yet? Good. So am I. The next fact is that the man seems to be quite dead. Most people assume that he hanged himself due to the placement of the chair in the room and the fact that he swings ever so gently as the Maw rocks back and forth. Not to mention the rope tied to a clock and possibly his neck. Now that's good enough for me. Now, there are several details that I find interesting about the clothes that the Hanged Man is wearing. If we're to assume that the suitcase that Six awakens from at the beginning of the main game belongs to him, then he is obviously some sort of businessman, or at least appearing to be some sort of businessman. This detail immediately made me think of the first comic that was released for the Little Nightmares series. In this comic, there are several images of the guests in their work attire shuffling about in endless lines. Each of the male guests seem to have on similar attire to that of the Hanged Man. This would imply that the Hanged Man ventured out from the Maw regularly and even interacted with the soon-to-be guests of the Maw. Keep that in mind as we discuss a few possibilities that stem from this line of thought. Naturally, many viewers will come to the conclusion that the Hanged Man is the ferryman that I examined in a previous video. I'll link that in the description below. But that conclusion would be incorrect. For one, although we are comparing the visuals from two different sources, a video game and a comic, the long skinny legs of the Hanging Man don't seem as if they belong to the burly ferryman. Additionally, the ferryman doesn't seem to be vulnerable to things such as scruples or morals, because typically, suicide is a method of expressing one's shame or regret for egregious actions committed in one's life. Based on the numerous pages that the ferryman is featured in the comic, it doesn't seem like he's too averse to kidnapping children to bring them back to the Maw. So with that option explored, I immediately started to think more and more about the outside world, or the world outside of the Maw, as this has always interested me the most. In short, I believe that the Hanged Man served as a sort of spy for the Maw, so to speak, for lack of a better term. I believe that the Hanged Man's primary objective was reconnaissance. His goal was to observe the outside world, survey a location that would provide a large number of potential guests, and relay that information to the powers that be so that they could target the next location for the appearance of the Maw. I believe that this strongly is supported by the official description for the Maw on the Little Nightmares website, as it states that the Maw never appears in the same place despite its annual surfacing. The description reads, "The Maw arrives every year, always at the same time, but never in the same place. It creeps and crawls, and buries its claws deep beneath the glistening water. And there it sits in vast silence, waiting." End quote. But waiting for what, you ask? Well, I would have to argue intel. In order for an operation like that the Maw enacts to go unnoticed, careful preparation and due diligence are a must. The information that the Hanged Man acquired in the years past allowed the cannibalistic, soul-devouring underwater monstrosity that you know as the Maw to entice an innumerable amount of unnoticing guests to visit the Maw, give in to their temptations, treat them to excess, and then end their lives, all in one sitting. Now, I believe that after countless flawless executions of the above scenario, the toll that such heinous actions can take on a man began to wear away at the Hanging Man's resolve. I believe that the pressure and stress was too much to bear as a result, and the man that we know as Daddy Longlegs took his life. But what's a good suicide without a suicide letter? Well, if you look closely, on the floor next to the chair, it seems as if he did indeed leave a letter. But to whom? What were the contents of the letter? Well, hell if I know, but maybe one day we will find out. Now, that's all the time I have for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hang around and check out some more of My Little Nightmares theories and more. Ouch. Too soon, too soon. Pun intended. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It's the Inhuman One, signing out.